Should America actually get a say? You know, the thing called democracy that Democrats supposedly love until it's inconvenient for them. We would have to amend the 25th Amendment. So here we are, staring at fake outrage, death wish politics. Wishing death or illness on a president isn't patriotism, it's hatred on steroids. Using a swollen hand photo to fantasize about rewriting the Constitution is the dumbest thing I've seen all week. And I watched a TikTok yesterday explaining how the moon is definitely fake because it's not in 4K. Welcome to Stay in the Fray podcast. I'm your host, Ryan. This is where headlines get hit hard, hypocrisy gets shredded, and the absurd are laughed at. If you want comfort, this isn't your place. If you want blunt and unfiltered, I'm your guy. Join me in the fray.
All you gotta do is just listen up.
All right. Hey, everyone. Let's talk about the U.S. Constitution. That is now trending. And it's not because anyone's read it. The 25th Amendment is suddenly the new obsession. It was meant for if a president is incapacitated, like can't breathe, can't think, can't function. Not he had a swollen hand at a rally. Quick, call the morgue. That's right. Trump's hand looked a little puffy in a picture, and the left lost what little was left of their collective minds. They're circling like vultures, hoping the man kills over. They don't even know why. Is it because Jimmy Kimmel said so on late night? Is it because Taylor Swift hasn't dropped a single in 48 hours? How about Joy Reid tweeting something in all caps? Or Janet at the fucking water cooler told you to? Or your uncle who thinks he knows politics wouldn't shut up at Thanksgiving? Or how about your super liberal professor at Woke State University? Gave some sort of lecture about it all. Half these people couldn't even explain what the 25th Amendment is. You could staple it on their forehead and they'd still chant, unfit to be president, louder than a gender studies class protesting of free speech. And of course, that means we get the next round of speculation. JD Vance, the actual Marine. And you can practically see the liberals salivating, brainstorming ways to torch him before he even gets close to the big chair. Fake Marine accusations, personal digs, whatever sticks. Doesn't matter if it's true, doesn't matter if it makes sense, as long as it's another dart thrown at someone with the wrong letter next to his name. And while we're at it, let's take this a step further. Should we even allow vice presidents to just slide in without a new election? Should America actually get a say? The thing called democracy that Democrats supposedly love until it's inconvenient for them. We would have to amend the 25th Amendment. So here we are, staring at fake outrage, death wish politics, and the kind of hypocrisy that makes you wonder if these people even believe the garbage that they say out loud. And if you're worn out from this automatic hate machine running 24/7, as well as woke fatigue, like I have, then welcome home. This is where you need to be. This is Stay in the Fray podcast. It is September the 1st, 2025. Let's roll. Got my dates all mixed up. It's been a long weekend. Happy Labor Day to all of you here in the United States. I'm working hard on it. So apparently, Trump's hand looked a little swollen in a photo. But that's it. No medical reports, no collapse at a podium, just a picture where his hand looks a little puffier than usual. Suddenly, the 25th Amendment is trending wherever you look. Folks, this amendment wasn't written for swollen hands. It came after JFK was assassinated, because nobody even knew who was officially in charge when that happened. It was basically, figure it out, everybody. The amendment made it official. If the president can't do the job, like if he's shot in the head in a car here in Dallas, like JFK, the vice president steps in. It's made to be simple. It was used when Nixon stepped down after Watergate. Reagan actually invoked it when he was shot and went under anesthesia. George W. Bush invoked it twice for colonoscopies, just in case. Biden did the same thing. Those are real reasons. It was not created for swollen hands or Twitter gossip. It was created so the country doesn't have a panic attack every time the president sneezes. And let's talk about the brilliant theories for a swollen hand. Maybe he hit it on a fucking door. Maybe he fist bumped too hard. Maybe Melania slapped it away when he reached for her fries. Maybe he's been golfing so much that his hand finally looks like an overstuffed baseball glove. I golf a lot. That can happen. Who knows? I've had worse swelling than that picture from grabbing groceries out of my car in Texas heat. But the left saw it, and boom, they go into witch cackle mode. Ooh, is this the end? Is he finally going down? These are the same people who plaster Kindness Matter bumper stickers on their Priuses. Love wins, unless it's Trump. Then they're practically live streaming their fantasy of him in a hospital bed all over social media. And here's what makes me want to pour a scotch at noon. Most of them don't even know why they hate him so much. They think they're educated. They think they're not. It's feelings over facts with these people. They believe that if you ever admit that Donald Trump did something good, you've automatically joined the MAGA fan club. How about recently? Let's use an example. How about the fact that he has lowered crime and cleaned up the streets in Washington, D.C.? That's not just speculation. That's facts. Armed robbery is down. Homicide is down. Things that you haven't seen in decades in D.C. have happened. The liberals are mad because the president is lowering crime. How dare he? Make it make sense. Don't even get me started on that asshole mayor in Chicago. 50-something people were shot like this over the weekend. But no, can't let Trump have a win. Their outrage is not rooted in reality. It's rooted in the idea that acknowledging facts makes you a traitor to your team. And now they're practically salivating over the idea of the 25th possibly having to be invoked. If it was invoked, it would mean that something happened to our president. It's revolting that they're cheering this on. Wishing death or illness on a president isn't patriotism, it's hatred on steroids. And honestly, if your version of activism is zooming in on Trump's hand like it's a blurry UFO sighting, you probably need a new hobby. Here's the truth. The only way that the left is ever going to beat Donald Trump is when he chooses to walk away, or when he's literally no longer able to serve as president. Until then, he lives rent-free in their heads, causing them to scream louder than their student loan debt collector. And when he does leave, well, remember this. He's currently training JD Vance. Trumpism isn't going anywhere. It's evolving. Which brings us to the next target of their tantrum, JD Vance, our vice president. Let's talk about the upcoming trendy punching bag for the left, Mr. Vance. Now that they've convinced themselves that Trump is one swollen knuckle away from the morgue, the conversation shifts. Well, what about Vance? How would he do? Well, with or without Trump's swollen hand, the lefties know they're going to be dealing with JD when he wins in 2028. So it's not surprising that they're already spinning false narratives and dangerous rhetoric about him now. And of course, someone actually said this, that he's not a real Marine. What does that mean? The man went through boot camp, combat training, wore the uniform, took the oath, did his damn service. Apparently, if you don't storm the beaches of Normandy or parachute into Kabul while juggling grenades, you're just pretend military. Meanwhile, you guys have Tim Walz over here playing Stolen Valor bingo, rewriting his military resume on LinkedIn like it's a profile update. The same liberals nod along and say, oh yeah, Tim Walz, totally authentic. But JD Vance, nope, he's fake Marine, he didn't go to combat. The mental gymnastics required to land that argument could power the entire California grid. And beyond that, kind of rhetoric is flat out disrespectful to every serviceman and every servicewoman who put the uniform on but never happened to be dropped behind enemy lines. Service is service, period. And I thank all of them. And when they're not going after his service, they're nitpicking everything else about him, of course. They mock how he talks, how he looks. I think he's an attractive man. They say he wears eyeliner. I'll admit it, sometimes JD looks like he's got a little eyeliner on. But have you seen that side stare, though? When he looks over during a debate, he does not look soft with that eyeliner. It makes him look like a badass. That little glance to the side is not emo rock band. It's screaming Marine who's about to choke out your bad argument like a boss. And if eyeliner is the best insult that they have against him, then the man's already winning. So please keep it up. Here's some more truth. JD Vance is sharp. He's disciplined, and he's grounded. He didn't just serve, he built himself up from dirt poor beginnings. He went to Yale, he wrote a best-selling book, and then he walked into Washington with the spine of a Marine and the brains of a lawyer. That's a dangerous combo for the left, which is exactly why they're terrified of him. You want to know how he'd do as president? Well, first off, if the Dems run Gavin Newsom in 2028, he'll mop the floor with them. Biggest landslide in a long, long time. Can you imagine that debate stage? JD Vance with facts, grounded common sense, actual service under his belt, versus Newsom, who it looks like he's auditioning for the role of slimy villain in the 80s movies. So yeah, the left is already trying to kneecap him, JD, before he even gets the shot. Because deep down, they know JD Vance represents something that they hate: competence. And worse for them, he's rounding it all out with direct training from Donald Trump. That's their nightmare, not just Trump, but Trump 2.0 with Marine discipline. And someone who, like Donald Trump, truly loves his country. All right, so here's where it gets a little messy. Let's say the president can't serve anymore. Health, age, God forbid, whatever it is. Right now, the way it reads, the 25th Amendment just slides the vice president into the chair and says, congratulations, you're the president. No election, no vote, just swap the nameplate and carry on. But should that be the way that it works? Should 330 million Americans have absolutely no say and we get stuck with whoever was picked as VP? I mean, Kamala Harris was one 79-year-old Biden brain freeze away from running the country. Nobody voted for her to be president. She dropped out of the Democratic primary before a single ballot was cast because she was polling at roughly the same number as a gas station hot dog. Yet she was literally a heartbeat away from the Oval Office. That's a little insane. And yes, you could argue that that's why vice president picks matter. Maybe we should treat the presidential ticket as a package deal, like voting for both at once for the presidency, just in case. But don't pretend Americans were actually lining up excited to put Kamala Harris in the big chair. That was proven in the 2024 election. Don't get me wrong, I'm not looking to be a hypocrite here. I call all of the hypocrites out, and I refuse to be one. If a Democrat president had to invoke the 25th because they truly could not serve, I wouldn't scream fraud. I wouldn't love that outcome. I'd like to, of course, have another chance to vote the Democrats out, but I'd accept it because that's how the Constitution is written. The only time I'd call it out is if it was obvious that the president was perfectly fine and they just wanted to change it up, which is exactly the kind of dirty tricks we've already seen from the Democrat Party. So here's the danger. If we ripped up the 25th Amendment and forced new elections every time a president sneezed, it would be chaos. The opposition party would weaponize it. He coughed, unfit. New election. We'd be holding 5 elections every 4 years. CNN would be bankrupt from hiring too many holograms, and half the country would be permanently standing in line at polling stations. Who even decides if a president is unfit? Is it a doctor? A panel of 12 doctors? Congress? Please. Congress can't even decide a lunch order without shutting down. The Supreme Court? Imagine letting 9 judges just decide the presidency like it's American Idol. Crooked, politicized, and a disaster waiting to happen. And don't forget, the Democrats already pulled the most undemocratic stunt of all when they yanked Biden off the 2024 ticket and shoved Kamala in without a single vote. If Republicans ever tried something like that, you'd see CNN and MSNBC meltdown so hard that Rachel Maddow would drown in her own pathetic tears. So yeah, it's complicated. And no, I don't pretend to have the magical solution. I'm trying to stay neutral here. But I do know this. using a swollen hand photo to fantasize about rewriting the Constitution is the dumbest thing I've seen all week. And I watched a TikTok yesterday explaining how the moon is definitely fake because it's not in 4K. So there it is, folks. The 25th Amendment, trending. It was not written for Twitter tantrums, swollen knuckles, or celebrity gossip panels. It was written to keep government stable. But now it's being twisted into fan fiction plot for people who cannot sleep unless they dream about Trump dying. That's not politics. That's sickness. That's Trump derangement syndrome. I'll say this. If Biden had stepped aside and Kamala took over, Kamala, however you say her name, I'd have hated it. But I'd have respected the process because, again, that's what is in the Constitution today. And it wasn't like we all didn't know that Joe was needing a rest. What I don't respect is this gleeful cheerleading for death. I would never do that. This hypocrisy about who counts as a real Marine is also pissing me off. And the nonsense about vice presidents being illegitimate until Democrats want them to be. So let me ask you now, as we end. Should we demand new elections if a president cannot serve any longer? Or is that just chaos waiting to happen and we should keep things the way they are? That's the debate. It's simple. Hit the comments, tear it apart. Tell me where you stand. What would happen if Donald Trump was no longer fit? Is it simple enough to just JD goes right in? How would we have felt? How would anybody have felt if Joe Biden had been forced out, deemed unfit to lead? I'm not so sure that he wasn't, and a lot of people believe that he wasn't. Would the Democrats have had a little bit more of a leg up now if they had installed Kamala back then? I'm not so sure, of course, but it's something to think about. Let me know where you stand. To those of you who are with me on this, the like-minded, the ones who feel that auto-hate fatigue every time you turn on the news or you scroll down your social media platforms, I need you. Join me here. Like and share, spread this. Let's build a team. I'm loyal to my teams, especially my football teams and my universities. Together we can push back on the insanity. For those of you that don't agree, stick around a little bit, check it out. You might find out that thinking for yourself beats things you hear by Rachel Maddow, Taylor Swift. You don't need to listen to her. So give it a chance. I try and listen to all of you. So with that being said, stay sharp. Stay bold, stay laughing, please. Stay in the fray. Love you guys.